A struggling musician, barely scraping by, decides to play free concerts for hospital patients, just to bring a little joy to their lives. It's a simple act of kindness, but one listener changes everything. Welcome back to Life Turning Point, where every decision has the power to change everything. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. This is a story about talent, perseverance, and how sometimes the smallest gestures can lead to life-changing opportunities. If you're ready for a tale that'll remind you why dreams are worth chasing, stick around. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Alex sat cross-legged on the floor of their tiny apartment, surrounded by scattered sheet music, an old acoustic guitar, and unpaid bills. The room was dimly lit, the faint hum of a flickering fluorescent bulb adding to the weight of the moment. They stared at the stack of rejection letters on the coffee table, each one a polite but firm no from yet another record label. It had been 5 years since Alex quit their day job to pursue music full-time. 5 years of late-night gigs at dingy bars, open mic nights where only 3 people showed up, and endless hours spent perfecting songs that no one seemed to notice. Their savings were gone, and rent was due in 3 days. Maybe I should just give up, Alex muttered to themselves, strumming a melancholic chord on the guitar. But deep down, they knew they couldn't. Music wasn't just a dream, it was who they were. The next morning, Alex dragged themselves out of bed and headed to their part-time job at a local cafe. As they served customers, their mind wandered back to the hospital visits they'd made as a volunteer during college. Back then, they used to play music for patients, bringing smiles to faces worn thin by illness and pain. What if I started doing that again? Alex thought suddenly. Even if my career isn't going anywhere, maybe I can still make a difference. That evening, Alex reached out to the nearby community hospital, offering to perform free concerts for patients. To their surprise, the hospital coordinator eagerly agreed. On the day of their first performance, Alex arrived with their guitar slung over their shoulder, nerves fluttering in their stomach. The hospital staff led them to a small activity room where a handful of patients and their families were gathered. Some sat in wheelchairs, others leaned against pillows, and a few children clutched stuffed animals. Alex took a deep breath, adjusted the microphone, and began to play. The first notes of a gentle melody filled the room, soft and soothing. Almost instantly, the atmosphere shifted. A little girl who hadn't smiled in weeks giggled as she swayed to the rhythm. An elderly man closed his eyes, tapping his foot faintly. A mother wiped away tears, her face lighting up with gratitude. For the first time in months, Alex felt alive. It wasn't about fame or fortune here, it was about connection. As they played song after song, Alex realized something profound. Even if their own dreams felt out of reach, their music could still touch lives in ways they never imagined. By the end of the performance, the room erupted in applause. One patient approached Alex, gripping their hand tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Your music gave me hope today." Alex walked home that night with a renewed sense of purpose. Maybe success wasn't measured by record deals or sold-out shows. Maybe it was about moments like these, moments that reminded people they weren't alone. Little did Alex know, one listener in the crowd would change everything. Over the next few weeks, Alex became a regular fixture at the hospital. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, they arrived with their guitar, ready to share music with anyone who wanted to listen. Word spread quickly among patients, nurses, and visitors about the musical angel, whose performances brought light to even the darkest days. One evening, Alex played in the pediatric wing, where children battling illnesses gathered in a cozy common area decorated with colorful murals. As Alex strummed the opening chords of a cheerful tune, a young boy named Ethan, who had been too weak to leave his room for days, slowly shuffled in, clutching his 4-pole. His eyes lit up as he recognized the melody. It was his favorite song. By the end of the performance, Ethan was clapping along, his face glowing with happiness. His mother approached Alex afterward, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Thank you," she said softly. "For the first time in weeks, I saw my son smile." Moments like these became routine for Alex. In the oncology ward, They played soothing ballads that helped patients relax during chemotherapy sessions. In the rehabilitation center, upbeat songs encouraged patients to keep pushing through physical therapy exercises. Nurses often remarked how Alex's music seemed to ease anxiety and lift spirits, not just for patients but for staff and families too. One particularly memorable performance took place in the ICU waiting room. A father sat hunched over, his head buried in his hands as he waited for news about his critically ill wife. When Alex began playing a heartfelt rendition of Hallelujah, the man looked up, startled. For a brief moment, the weight of his worry seemed to lift. By the end of the song, he was crying, but not out of despair. It was as if the music had given him permission to feel, to grieve, and to hope all at once. Alex noticed these small victories every time they performed. There was Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman who hadn't spoken since suffering a stroke, humming along to a classic lullaby her mother used to sing. There was Liam, a teenage cancer patient, who asked Alex to teach him a few chords so he could play guitar himself. And there was Dr. Patel, who admitted that Alex's concerts were the highlight of her hectic workweek. But what touched Alex most was the sense of community that formed around their performances. Strangers bonded over shared emotions, finding solace in the universal language of music. Families who once felt isolated in their struggles now had something to look forward to, a reminder that they weren't alone. Still, Alex couldn't shake the feeling of being stuck in limbo. While their hospital gigs brought fulfillment, their own career remained stagnant. They continued applying to record labels, uploading covers online, and networking at local venues, but nothing seemed to stick. "You're wasting your talent here," a nurse named Sarah once told Alex after a performance. "You should be playing stadiums, not hospital rooms." Alex smiled wistfully. "Maybe someday. But right now, this is where I'm needed." Unbeknownst to Alex, someone in the audience agreed wholeheartedly and had the power to make that dream a reality. During one of Alex's performances, a man sat quietly in the back corner of the room, listening intently. He wore a hoodie pulled low over his face, trying to blend into the crowd. But his sharp gaze betrayed his curiosity. This wasn't just any listener. It was Michael Reynolds, a renowned record producer recovering from surgery at the hospital. Michael had heard snippets of Alex's music while resting in his room down the hall. Intrigued, he decided to investigate further. What he found left him speechless. Raw talent, genuine passion, and an ability to connect with people on a deeply emotional level. As Alex packed up their guitar after the show, Michael approached them cautiously. "Excuse me," he said, extending a hand. "That was incredible. Do you mind if we talk?" Alex froze, unsure what to expect. Little did they know, this conversation would change their life forever. Michael Reynolds was no stranger to talent. As one of the most respected names in the music industry, he had spent decades discovering and nurturing artists who went on to achieve international fame. But lately, something had been missing. A spark, a raw authenticity that seemed harder and harder to find in an era dominated by polished pop stars and manufactured hits. That changed when he heard Alex's music drifting through the hospital corridors. At first, it was just background noise as Michael recovered from surgery in his private room. He lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to distract himself from the dull ache in his side. Then, faintly, he heard it. A soulful voice accompanied by gentle guitar chords. The melody was simple, yet it carried an emotional depth that made him pause mid-breath. "Who is that?" Michael wondered aloud, sitting up despite the pain. Curiosity got the better of him. After his nurse assured him it was safe to take short walks, Michael followed the sound down the hall until he reached the activity room where Alex was performing. Standing in the doorway, he watched as Alex played for a small audience of patients and their families. What struck Michael wasn't just the technical skill, it was the way Alex connected with the listeners. Their eyes softened when they sang slower songs, and their smile widened during upbeat tunes. It was clear they weren't performing for applause. They were sharing a piece of themselves, creating moments of connection and healing. After the performance, Michael lingered, observing how patients approached Alex afterward. Some thanked them profusely, others hugged them tightly, and a few even cried. Michael had seen countless musicians in his career, but none who commanded such genuine affection and gratitude. Over the next few days, Michael attended every one of Alex's performances, always keeping a low profile. He noticed subtle details, the way Alex tailored their setlist to suit the audience, the personal stories they shared between songs, and the effortless ability to turn strangers into friends within minutes. One evening, after a particularly moving performance, Michael decided to dig deeper. He struck up a conversation with Sarah, the nurse who often coordinated Alex's visits. That musician, Michael began casually, "Do you know much about them?" Sarah smiled warmly. "Oh, Alex? They're amazing. Plays here twice a week. Never asks for anything in return. Honestly, I think this place would feel emptier without them. Do they have a career outside of this?" Michael pressed. Sarah hesitated, then shook her head. "Not really. From what I understand, they've been trying to make it big for years, but nothing's stuck yet. Still, they keep going. You can tell how much they love what they do." Michael nodded thoughtfully. He could relate to that struggle all too well. Many talented artists gave up before their breakthrough came. But Alex didn't seem like someone who would quit easily. Determined to learn more, Michael did some research. Using connections at the hospital, he discovered Alex's backstory. A self-taught musician who juggled odd jobs while chasing their dream, submitting demos to record labels that consistently rejected them. Despite the setbacks, Alex refused to give up, pouring their heart into every note they played. Finally, Michael decided it was time to meet Alex face to face. After one of Alex's performances, Michael approached them as they packed up their guitar. "Excuse me," he said, extending a hand. "My name's Michael Reynolds. That was incredible. Do you mind if we talk?" Alex froze, unsure what to expect. Sure. What's this about?" Michael smiled reassuringly. "I'm a record producer. I overheard your performance earlier, and I have to say, I haven't been this moved by music in years. Can we grab a coffee sometime? I'd love to hear more about your journey." Alex blinked, stunned. "You're serious?" "Very," Michael replied firmly. "Trust me, Alex. Talent like yours doesn't come around often, and I think the world needs to hear it." For a moment, Alex couldn't speak. Years of rejection and self-doubt flooded their mind. Was this real, or just another false hope? But looking into Michael's eyes, they saw sincerity and opportunity. "Okay," Alex said finally, their voice trembling. "Let's talk." As they shook hands, neither of them realized the magnitude of what was about to unfold. For Alex, this was more than just a chance at success. It was validation that their music truly mattered. And for Michael, it was the rediscovery of something he'd almost forgotten: the magic of finding an artist whose heart matched their talent. A week later, Alex met Michael at a quiet cafe near the hospital. Nerves churned in their stomach as they slid into the booth across from him. Despite his warm smile and casual demeanor, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this was too good to be true. "So," Michael began, stirring his coffee, "tell me about yourself. How did you end up playing music in hospitals?" Alex hesitated, then launched into their story. The years of chasing gigs, the endless rejections, the financial struggles, and finally, the decision to volunteer at the hospital. It wasn't about fame or money, they admitted. "I just wanted to bring some light to people who needed it." Michael listened intently, nodding occasionally. When Alex finished, he leaned back in his seat, studying them thoughtfully. He said after a pause, "Most musicians I meet are focused solely on making it big. They're chasing fame, fortune, validation, all the external stuff. But you're different. Your music comes from a place of authenticity. It's not about you, it's about the people listening. That's rare, Alex, and incredibly powerful." Alex swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. "That's why I want to sign you," Michael continued, pulling out a folder from his bag. Inside were documents outlining a record deal, an offer to produce Alex's debut album, promote it globally, and launch their career on an international stage. Alex stared at the papers, their hands trembling slightly. "Are you serious? Me? You want to sign me?" "Absolutely," Michael replied firmly. But let's be clear, this isn't charity. I believe in your talent, and I think the world needs to hear your voice. Are you ready for this? Tears welled up in Alex's eyes as the weight of the moment hit them. For so long, they doubted whether anyone would ever take them seriously. Now, here was one of the biggest names in the industry telling them they were worth it. I don't even know what to say, Alex stammered. Say yes, Michael urged with a grin. Let's make magic happen. And just like that, Alex agreed. Over the next few months, Alex worked tirelessly with Michael and his team to create their debut album. Drawing inspiration from their experiences at the hospital, they poured their heart into every song, writing lyrics that celebrated resilience, hope, and human connection. When the album was released, it resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. Songs like Healing Note and Light in the Dark climbed the charts, earning critical acclaim and millions of streams. Fans praised Alex's ability to capture raw emotion and turn it into something universal. But success didn't change Alex, not really. Even as they performed sold-out shows in arenas and appeared on late-night talk shows, they remained grounded. Every interview, every performance, Alex made sure to acknowledge the patients and families who had inspired them along the way. One evening, during a concert in New York City, Alex paused mid-set to address the crowd. This is surreal, they admitted, holding their guitar close. Not long ago, I was playing for a handful of people in a hospital activity room. Those performances taught me something important. Music isn't about fame or accolades. It's about connection, about reminding people they're not alone. So tonight, this one's for all the fighters out there, the ones battling illness, hardship, or doubt. Keep going. You've got this. The crowd erupted in applause, many wiping away tears. Behind the scenes, Michael watched proudly. He hadn't just discovered a talented artist. He'd helped amplify a message that mattered. As Alex's career soared, they never forgot where it all began. Whenever possible, they returned to the hospital to perform, bringing along signed albums and merchandise to gift to patients. They also partnered with organizations supporting healthcare workers and mental health initiatives, using their platform to give back. Looking back, Alex realized their life had come full circle. What started as a simple act of kindness, playing music for strangers in need, had transformed into a global movement of hope and healing. And through it all, they carried one truth in their heart. Sometimes, the smallest gestures can lead to the biggest opportunities. With their meteoric rise to fame, Alex had countless opportunities to shine in the spotlight, but they chose to use their platform for something greater, giving back. One of Alex's first initiatives was launching Music Heals, a nonprofit organization dedicated to bringing live performances and music therapy programs to hospitals worldwide. Partnering with Michael's production company, they funded state-of-the-art music rooms in pediatric wards, oncology centers, and rehabilitation facilities. These spaces became sanctuaries where patients could escape their pain, even if only for a moment, through the power of melody. Alex didn't stop there. During their world tour, they organized charity concerts in every city they visited, raising millions for healthcare causes. Fans eagerly attended these events, not just to hear Alex perform, but to support the mission behind the music. At each show, Alex invited local musicians, many of whom were struggling like they once had, to join them on stage, offering exposure and encouragement. I remember what it felt like to doubt my worth, Alex told the audience during one such concert. If I can help even one person believe in themselves, then all of this is worth it. Their efforts extended beyond hospitals. Alex collaborated with schools and community centers to mentor aspiring musicians, sharing stories of perseverance and teaching workshops on songwriting and performance. They emphasized that success wasn't about perfection. It was about authenticity and staying true to your passion. Social media played a key role in amplifying Alex's message. Through heartfelt posts and videos, they shared glimpses of their journey, from playing in empty bars to performing in packed arenas. One viral video showed Alex revisiting the hospital where it all began, surprising former patients and staff with gifts and hugs. The caption read, "This is where my dream started." Never underestimate the ripple effect of kindness. The response was overwhelming. Messages poured in from fans around the world, sharing how Alex's story inspired them to chase their own dreams or find strength during tough times. Some sent videos of themselves covering Alex's songs. Others wrote letters thanking them for reminding them they weren't alone. Among the most touching responses came from Ethan, the young boy who had shuffled into Alex's very first hospital performance. Now older and healthier, Ethan sent a video of himself playing guitar, a skill he credited to Alex's encouragement. "You taught me that music isn't just notes," Ethan said in the video. "It's hope. Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Tears streamed down Alex's face as they watched the clip. Moments like these reminded them why they kept going, not for fame or fortune, but to make a difference. Michael, too, found renewed purpose in working with Alex. Together, they launched a scholarship program for underprivileged artists, providing resources and mentorship to those without access to traditional pathways in the industry. "We're not just building careers," Michael explained at the program's launch event. "We're fostering connection. That's what Alex has always been about, and that's what we aim to continue." As years passed, Alex's legacy grew far beyond their chart-topping hits. They became a symbol of resilience, proving that success wasn't defined by accolades but by the lives you touched along the way. Hospitals renamed wings in their honor, schools integrated their songs into curriculums, and aspiring musicians cited them as their inspiration. Through it all, Alex remained humble, often saying, "I'm not special. I just followed my heart. And if I can do it, so can you." Their bond with Michael deepened over time, evolving into a lifelong friendship built on mutual respect and shared values. Together, they continued championing causes close to their hearts, ensuring their work would leave a lasting impact long after the applause faded. For Alex, life had transformed in ways they never imagined, but the core of who they were remained unchanged. They were still the same musician who once played for strangers in a hospital room, hoping to bring a little joy to someone's day. Only now they were doing it on a global scale. And that brings us to the heart of today's story. The narrator concludes, addressing the audience directly. "Sometimes the greatest opportunities come when you least expect them, and often through acts of kindness." Alex didn't play music in hospitals for fame or fortune. They did it because they cared, because they wanted to make someone's day just a little brighter. And look what happened. A single act of generosity turned into a global movement of hope and healing. This is why we call it Life Turning Point. Every action matters, no matter how small it may seem. Who knows? Your next decision could inspire someone else to pursue their dreams, create art, or simply spread kindness. Think about it. What talents or passions do you have that could touch someone else's life? Maybe it's writing, painting, teaching, or even just lending an ear to a friend in need. These moments might feel insignificant in the moment, but they have the power to change lives, including yours, in ways you can't predict. Alex's journey reminds us that success isn't just about achieving goals. It's about the people you meet along the way and the impact you leave behind. Their story proves that when you give selflessly, the universe has a funny way of giving back tenfold. Now, here's the real question. What will your turning point be? Will you pick up that guitar, write that book, or volunteer at your local community center? You never know who's listening, who's watching, or whose life you might change forever. If this story inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs a reminder of hope. Better yet, take action. Whether it's pursuing your passion, volunteering in your community, or simply being kind to those around you. Before you go, don't forget to hit the like button if the story resonated with you. Subscribe to Life Turning Point for more inspiring tales that celebrate the beauty of humanity. And turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Each story carries a lesson worth remembering, and we're here to bring those lessons to life. Thank you for watching, and remember, your actions matter more than you think. Until next time, keep turning lives around, one decision at a time.